Hi, and welcome to this week's video. As those of you who are regular watchers of these videos will know, although I'm trained in a number of different holistic techniques, I'm a big fan, and my practice and my own personal practice is mainly built around two. That's Tai Chi and mindfulness. And I often say that really, in a way, Tai Chi is kind of mindfulness meditation for the sort of person who can't sit still and meditate. And what I want to talk about today is why mindfulness is so useful. Now, in past videos, I've spoken about the perils of suffering from chronic fatigue and chronic pain, and indeed anyone who has any sort of chronic illness. It can kind of come to encompass your life completely. And I am speaking here with a certain amount of personal experience, as you can probably guess. Because, okay, I'm only human, and one reason why I cope as well as I do is because I do actually practice these techniques myself. But as I've often said, starting to practice meditation and Tai Chi is not a guarantee that your life is suddenly going to go smoothly. If only I had a magic wand that could enable that to happen. Trust me, I would be using it in all sorts of places. So, why is mindfulness, as separate from meditation, so valuable? Well, as I've said before, but it bears repeating, mindfulness simply means awareness. It means you are aware of everything that's going on in this moment. And you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, if I'm feeling really tired or I've got a lot of pain, I don't want my mind to be on what's happening in this moment. Yes, I get that. Trust me, I do. But being present in the moment can give you a very different perspective on everything that's going on. One of the classic examples used, and if you've ever done a chronic pain meditation with me, I've almost certainly done this. When you've got chronic pain, it feels like it takes over the whole of your body. It doesn't really, but it feels like it. But when you're really aware of the pain, there's two things that are going on. Number one, you're not trying to push it away. And when you try to push something away, you naturally tense. And guess what? Tense muscles tend to make pain worse. Even if they're not muscle pain, they tend to make pain worse. So when you are just leaning in to what's going on in this moment, you're not trying to push the pain away, you're aware of it. But you can also get a better perspective on it. And the phrase that's often used is that something that seems like one solid block of pain, you actually realise, oh no, actually it's rising and falling. Or you may notice that actually it might feel like the whole of your back is hurting. But when you really focus your attention on the pain, you can pinpoint it to a smaller area. And when you make something smaller, it's more manageable. Also, by being aware in this moment, you're not asking yourself to deal with something that might happen in the next moment. you are limiting it by time. And coping just now is much easier than thinking ahead and thinking, oh my God, how much longer is this going to go on for? So being truly aware and present, whatever's going on, is a really great way of getting a bit of control. And one of the phrases I will often use in meditations is, you've given yourself this time when nothing else matters except just this breath coming in, just this breath going out. I think John Kabat-Zinn was the one who originally used that phrase, and every other meditation teacher has used it since. Being aware and truly present means that when something is good, again, you can really enjoy it. Because one of the main tenets of Buddhism, and let's face it, mindfulness is very Buddhist based, is the one thing permanent in life is change. This too shall pass. This can be good or it could be bad. And that's why at the beginning of a meditation session, I will often ask people just to sit there and listen and be aware of all the aches, the pains, the noises, and just notice how they come and they go. This too shall pass. Now, one reason why mindfulness is one of my favourite techniques to teach and indeed to practice for myself is it's something that can be done very quickly, and in previous videos I've done very quick techniques. And if you're interested in quick techniques, check back at previous videos, the title will make it obvious. But also, mindfulness accepts you as you are. I will also say Tai Chi accepts you as you are. To practice Tai Chi and mindfulness, you don't need to be really fit. You don't need to be in a really good place in your mind. You can just come as you are, with all your worries, all your fears, all your aches, all your pains. And all mindfulness asks you to do is, okay, just sit with it, just right here, right now. Just sit with it. And while that sounds counterintuitive, when you just practice being aware, really being aware through the whole of your body, you will notice different things. You may become aware that, maybe there's a particular feeling of comfort, in the contact between where you're sitting and the chair. As you notice your breath, you may think, oh, that's a really nice rhythm. And a phrase I often use is, imagine you're being rocked and cradled by your breath. And those two can be true, even if at the same time you're sitting there thinking, I've got this awful pain in my back. They can all be true, and you can be aware of all of them at the same time, and they kind of balance each other out. You've got the good and you've got the not so good. And again, that's a wonderful practical demonstration that life is good, life is bad, it's all mixed up. And when I'm wearing my Tai Chi t-shirt, which I'm not today, you will see I've got the yin-yang symbol on it, which is a visual illustration of the fact that life is made up of black bits and it's made up of white bits, but the bits are all kind of curly and wiggly, and right in the middle of the black bit there's a little dot of white, and right in the middle of the white bit there's a little dot of black, which shows that life is a mixture. There will be good bits, there will be bad bits. But if you focus only on the bad bits, guess what? You're going to feel really bad. But it is unrealistic to practice, just focusing on the good bits if you know that your mind is going to be distracted by this awful pain you've got. That's why mindfulness meditation, or indeed any mindfulness technique, doesn't need you to be in a calm, serene state of mind. Mindfulness will work even if your mind is going at 100 miles an hour. Because the moment you start being aware of what's going on, whether it's in your body or in your mind, you get a certain amount of control. And in the end, there will be things going on that you have choices over, that you have some control over. But there will be some things going on that you have no control over. And that's when recognising that it's not in your control, that there is absolutely no point in stressing about it. You've just got to not try to do anything about it and just focus on the things that you can control. Mindfulness encompasses a number of different practices. I've gone through them all. There is the traditional 20, 30, maybe even 40 minutes silent meditation, just focusing on your breathing. There are shorter 10, 15, 20 minute guided meditations, which guide you towards using your mind or using your body in a way that will be helpful. And there's really short things which aren't really traditional meditation at all. And they all have their uses. And while one day you might find that you're in a really good place and you're thinking, right, yeah, I've got the time, I'm in a really good place, I'm going to sit and do silent meditation for 20 or 30 minutes. That's wonderful. Congratulate yourself. But if on another day you know that that's not what you can do, because you haven't got the time, you haven't got, that your mindset is just in the wrong place, you just know that your mind's going to be all over the place, that's okay. You can adapt the technique that you use to how you are. And one thing I've learned, and I used to have a very, very set routine in my morning. I have a morning routine. Don't always stick to it, but at the minimum I will do at least 5 minutes of meditation. I used to do a little bit of reading the Stoics, reading other philosophers, reading the Tao Te Ching. And then I would do some meditation, usually fairly short and guided, and then I would do some Tai Chi. I've now changed it round. And really, I'm really surprised I didn't think of this before, but it was something that happened in a guided meditation, and I thought, oh, why didn't I think of that? And I now do the Tai Chi first. Because if you're all over the place, doing some Tai Chi, even if you have to do it seated, with that movement, it gets rid of some of the excess energy and it can start the process of calming down your mind. Because remember, I said Tai Chi is another form of mindfulness. Because in Tai Chi practice, you're really encouraged to be aware of what your body wants to do. So while it's wonderful to have a routine, if one day that routine needs to alter, don't beat yourself up. I have a minimum, which is that if I do nothing else, I will spend a few moments with my eyes closed reciting the Reiki principles, or my version of the Reiki principles that I was taught when I was first attuned to Reiki, going back rather more years than I care to remember now. So I literally sit there, eyes shut, hands in what looks like the prayer position, but it's actually called the Gasho position, and I recite the Reiki principles. The secret art of inviting happiness, the miracle cure for all ills. Just for today, I will be peaceful. Just for today, I will be calm. Just for today, I will be authentic. Just for today, I will be grateful. Just for today, I will be compassionate. I'll recite that 3 times in a meditative stance, and even if I don't do anything else, I will do that. But I usually manage to do that and a little bit of reading, maybe only 1 book rather than 2, and hopefully sort of a 10, maybe 15-minute meditation. But if it's only 5 minutes, that's okay. Because one of the most important bits of awareness and mindfulness that you need to practice is what's practical for you, what is going to work for you. Because you will read meditation books and even listening to and watching these videos, you might feel, I hope you don't, you might feel that you've got to kind of shoehorn yourself into what I'm saying is good practice, although I hope I'm going through enough different things. Yes, there is a lot of benefit to be found from practicing mindfulness about 20 minutes a day. In fact, there's a very famous saying by the Dalai Lama that everybody should practice meditation, which is his form of mindfulness, for 20 minutes a day, unless you're busy, and then you should do 40 minutes. Why? Because there is evidence that shows that when you practice mindfulness, you're practicing focusing your mind on good things, on calm things. And learning to focus your mind actually makes you more productive. So hello to any high-powered executives who seem to be watching this. Can't think any high-powered executives are, but if you are, hello, and comment below. Nobody should say they don't have the time to practice mindfulness, even if it's only 1 minute a day. Because if you practice a minute often through the day, that adds up to 10 minutes. And there's nothing that says that everything has to be done in one block. You have to be aware of a mindful, say that word again, aware and mindful of what's practical for you. That's why I always say, do not try to build your life round what you think is a good practice. Build practices that work with the rest of your life, and you'll be able to build on that. And that's why mindfulness is so important, because it's not just, when you're in the middle of doing your Tai Chi or when you're doing your meditation that you need to be mindful. It's an art that you need to practice all the time. Because if you're being mindful and really present when you're in a conversation with someone, you're going to hear so much more of what they're trying to tell you. You're going to understand so much more. And that means that what you say to them, you're going to be more mindful about that. You will choose your words with care. And it might lead to a completely different outcome. So these practices that you do, they aren't things that you do for part of the day and then think, right, that's it, I've done my practice. No, actually, they're for life. They're to help you get the most out of your day. So it makes perfect sense to build tiny, small practices in through your day. 2 reasons. Number 1, you're constantly doing the practice, and guess what? The more you practice, the better you'll get. But number 2, which is really the most important, when you're being mindful, you will be aware of when your thoughts aren't necessarily helping you. You will be aware when your body is sending you a signal. Could be a simple signal like I'm hungry or I'm thirsty, or it could be a signal like, oh, I need to get up and take a bit of exercise. And that's why things like smartwatches have reminders on you. Drink some water. Get up and move around. But when you're mindful, I'm not saying smartwatches aren't useful. When you're mindful, you're much more aware of why your body is sending you the signal. And that's very important. So I want to end this session just by inviting you to just sit, stand, even if you happen to be watching this while you're walking along. I just want to invite you, just for about a minute, to really focus on what's happening around you right now. The voices you can hear. The sounds you can hear. Are there any smells that you're aware of? What can you see? If you're walking, you've probably got your eyes open. What can you see? What signals is your body sending you right now? What's happening up here in your mind right now? Now, if you've done all that and you've come to the conclusion that, you know what, things are pretty good right now, wonderful. Keep up with the good work. But if you've done that and you're thinking, oh God, too much going on, I invite you, just take a deep breath in and then slowly let it out. And as I often say, taking a deep breath is the simplest and most available stress management technique of all. Because when you decide to take a deep breath, not only are there physiological changes that happen in your body to reduce stress chemicals circulating, but also you turn your minds inwards to that breath. It may only be just one breath, but for that one breath, you were mindful and aware. And you might think, oh, okay, I'll do that a few more times. Wonderful. But if you take that one big breath, and that's all you need, and you're then feeling calmer, and you're getting ready to move on, maybe to take the next step in the conversation without causing an argument, then wonderful. Mindfulness has done its job. And I can't emphasise enough that the daily practice, any daily practice, is worthwhile, even if it's only a minute a day. But the easier you've made it, but the more you can build mindfulness into your life, whether it's using an app that's got a bell of mindfulness. I've got an app that does that. It's not running at the moment, but I've got an app that does that. And it literally rings a bell every hour. Not 24/7, obviously, but it rings a bell every hour during the day just to remind me, oh, just step back. Because the most important thing is your intention to be mindful. And you may not feel you're getting anywhere, but if you practice enough, you will. And I know people who've known me well for a long time, they will absolutely say that I am a different person now to who I was before I started practicing Reiki and mindfulness and meditation and all these things that I now practice. Hasn't happened overnight, and I still have good days and bad days. I'm a human being. You're a human being. Don't expect too much of yourself. Be kind to yourself. And mindfulness is very compassionate, because when you're mindful of your body sending you a signal that says, look, you just need to take a break, sit down, take the weight off your legs, that's self-care. And how often have you heard me say my little mantra? 1, 2, 3, repeat after me. Self-care is never selfish. And another mantra I will say, it's not about doing it perfectly, but doing it perfectly for you. It's usually one I apply to my Tai Chi, but applies to mindfulness equally well. It's not going to make you a perfect human being. The perfect human being doesn't exist. It will make you a better human being, better able to look after yourself, which naturally makes you better able to look after others. Your body will be in a better state, and your mind won't take you off down rabbit holes quite so often. But it takes that regular practice. And that's why mindfulness is the most important one for me, I think, of the things that I teach. Because being mindful and being aware of what's going on is the first step to improving things and to getting a decent perspective. So no meditation, no Tai Chi. To be honest, I'm not feeling in that good a state myself at the moment for various reasons. And this is me being compassionate to me, saying no. Don't try and demonstrate anything. Don't even try and lead a meditation. Just let people listen to your words. And if I've said one thing that's really resonated with you and you'd like to take it a little bit further, I'll remind you that I'm very happy to do one-to-one video consultations. And all I ask is a donation of what you can afford, minimum donation of £1 UK. And if you want to know more, just contact me. And I'm very happy to chat, very happy to do these one-to-one appointments, whatever works for you. But the most important thing I want to get you is to your intention to be kind to yourself, and your intention to be mindful is the starting point. And if what I've said has made you think, even if you've never meditated or tried mindfulness before, what I've said made you think, I think I'll look into this. Have a look through my back catalogue and see if you can find something that suits you. And if there's nothing quite there, comment below this video and let me know what you would like to see. In the meantime, look after yourself. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for caring enough about yourself to watch this video. And I will see you next week. Namaste.